This is how I write with my dominant hand. Not so bad, but not so great either. But this is how I write with my non-dominant hand. It's absolutely horrendous. Super complicated to read, uneven, overall pretty bad. And my non-dominant hand happens to be my right hand. So I always thought that that was something that was decided at birth, somewhat randomly. You're either a lefty or you're a righty, and that's it, game over. For the rest of your life, that's what you're gonna be. So in this episode, I'm going to try to find out how fast I can learn to write with my right hand, my non-dominant hand. You're watching Tell Me World, non-dominant handwriting, start. Okay, so let's start with the first pangram in the list. Pack my box with 5 dozen liquor jugs. I already know. This feels so bizarre. Pack my box with 5 dozen liquor jugs. Now, I've always had trouble writing properly and neatly. I was the complete opposite of the perfect student, writing completely evenly, and growing up we were taught using a feather pen. Being left-handed, of course, the ink didn't have time to dry up enough and there would be smudges all over the place. On top of that, we were forced to use cursive. And I'm pretty sure that for this challenge, it would be easier to use print letters. Just to make it as complicated as it was for me growing up, I'm going to write in cursive with my right hand. Now, one of the most difficult things when you're writing in cursive, unless you have perfect control, which I don't have, it's difficult to tackle the letters the same way, depending on which letter comes before it. So every single little situation is a little bit different. Now, I'm gonna have to try to do that with my right hand, even though I have close to no control and no dexterity in this hand. Already what I can see is that the beginning of my sentences here, pack my box, pack my box, pack my box, pack my box. The quality is not that bad, really. It feels like pack could be somewhat okay, but then towards the middle, the letters become just crazy, and dozen and liquor in particular, dozen liquor jobs, the last 3 words, seem to be very, very complex. And I have a feeling that maybe it is due to where I put my hand. Clearly at the beginning, I have a specific angle. In the middle, I have another angle. At the end, I have yet a different angle. This is why my writing gets worse as I get towards to the right of the page. But now, on to page 2. This looks nice. Look at this. Look at this compared to that. There's some clear improvement here, and I think it's because I wasn't putting too much pressure on my fingers and on my arm, relaxing my arm much more, allowing the movement to be much more fluid. Depending on the angle of my arm, depending on the angle of my wrist, it doesn't feel the same. I am completely used in my brain to writing with this type of motion towards my body. But here, using my right hand, I have to go away from it. And it's subtle, but it makes a huge difference. And that, I think, is gonna be the obstacle that I'm gonna have to deal with during the whole challenge. How to keep it steady, how to keep it flowing, especially because I'm writing in cursive. This is gonna sound stupid, but this particular notebook has those little lines between the squares. So here, I'm really gonna try to pay attention to the size of each letter. A B, for example, goes up to the 3rd line, whereas a T goes to the 2nd. An H goes to the 3rd, and an F goes to the 3rd as well. It sounds a little tedious, but honestly, it makes a difference. You have to concentrate on each letter, and I have a feeling that in the end, it's gonna pay off. Okay, look at this. Pack my box with 5 dozen liquor jugs. Pack my box with 5 dozen jugs. Difference. Oh, wow. I don't even know if I can write like this with my left hand. 5 boxing wizards jump quickly. I've written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 60 lines. Let's try to write 100. Oh, look at this. Starting to feel the pain on my finger a little bit. Proof that I need to relax and hold the pen not as tightly. This technique is destroying my finger, but I'm getting some interesting results. So after almost 2 hours and 100 lines of writing pengrams, this is what my level is. When I look at this, it feels pretty satisfying, to be honest. It almost looks like I could have written this with my left hand. There is a clear evolution from line 0, and I'm quite happy with how I managed to tackle my weaknesses. There are a few things that I need to improve. That's what I'm gonna do on day 2. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Damn, look at this. Jumps, 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 jumps. Those last words are complicated. Now usually when I come back on a day 2 after a break, I come back stronger, but not this time. It really felt like I had gone way back and had regressed. What I'm starting to observe is that the more I try to write my right hand, the more spiky it becomes. My left hand has this very roundish type of writing, whereas my right hand is much more in a little bit like this, which is not really cool and not really pretty. I'm starting to believe that whether you're writing with your left hand or your right hand, you don't necessarily have to make the two look the same. Like this line is really, really different from these 2 lines. I'm not even sure how I would improve. I don't really know what I have to do to make it look better. Now, by this point, I was starting to believe that there was simply no hack, no shortcut to get better. Coming to this realization was a little bit of a disappointment, but at the same time, it forced me to focus on the one thing that is crucial no matter what the skill is that you're trying to learn, and that's practice. Practice, practice, practice. It was time to write more lines. Okay, so we're now at the very last step. In order to verify whether I learned something during this process, I'm going to write all the sentences that I wrote before with my left hand and with my right hand, and then we'll compare the results. All this worth of writing. Okay, pack my box with 5 dozen liquor jugs. Feel a little nervous. Overall, except for maybe a dozen here, not that bad. On to the next one. So the 5 boxing wizards jump quickly, let's go. Not so bad, again, slightly smaller, but overall, not bad. Okay, next. 2 driven jocks help fox. What? Oh, 2 driven jocks help fax my big quiz. My big quiz. Okay. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Yeah, slightly jumpy, but overall pretty much the same. Jinxed wizards pluck ivy from the big quilt. Jinxed. And that's it. Looks pretty okay to me, right?
So that's it. No jumping celebratory scene this time. No yelling, no screaming. Sometimes, learning a skill is just a steady process that takes practice and patience. It doesn't have to be crazy or amazing, and I hope it will motivate you to pick up that skill that you've always wanted to learn. And if you want to give a go at writing with your non-dominant hand, here are a couple tips for you.
If you like this type of video, please subscribe to my channel and leave a comment below. I'm always super eager to take on a challenge from someone in the community. So just comment below with what you think I should learn next. It can be really anything at all. The quirkier, the better. I'll see you in the next one.